going.
Everyone. I'm Sue Reynolds, and I have just finished writing the Athlete Inside book. It comes out in 2 weeks. Actually, I guess I finished writing it a year ago, and we've been editing. But it comes out in 2 weeks, and I wanted to introduce you to one of the main characters in the book, if you will, my coach, Brant Bahler. So, hi, Brant. So. Yeah, so we thought it would just be fun for you to meet Brant in person since he's such a big character in the book. Actually, he's just a character altogether. So to introduce you a little bit to Brant, he was an athlete at a Division I college. He's an Ironman. He coaches Ironman. He competed in the 70.3 World Championship. I think there's a couple things that really impress me about Brant. One is that he has coached athletes to the World Championship at all levels, from the sprint triathlon that I do to the Olympic distance 70.3 and the full Ironman. The woman who competed in Kona that he coached finished 11th there in her age group, so she did just amazing. But the thing that I really like about Brant is that he loves to coach people who have an extra hurdle in their journey. So for me, it was my hurdle with obesity. The book talks about how I lost 200 pounds and worked my way to 6th at the World Triathlon Championship and first American. But Brant has also coached people who are struggling with cancer. He's coached an organ transplant person that's doing triathlon. He's coached a deaf person. He's coached people that have been severely depressed. I mean, he just really, I think, has a gift for reaching out to people that have a special hurdle and helping them with their triathlon journeys. So that's Brant. Do you want to add anything to that little introduction?
Yeah, that's a lot.
So I thought maybe we do 2 parts in this interview. The first part is to talk about how coaches are for everyone. When I first started triathlon, I had no idea that I could get a coach and was shocked when Brant agreed to coach me. And then in the second part of the interview, I thought we'd talk about the coach-athlete relationship. I think that's something that Brant and I have done really, really well, to his credit. And I just wanted to talk about that because I think there's lots of lessons that I've learned that maybe could help other triathletes as well. So to begin, when I first wrote to Brant, I sent him an email. I found him, there's a tool on USA Triathlon's website where you can search for coaches, and I found Brant that way. And I wrote to Brant and sent him an email. I was scared to death. And I told him that I was obese. I told him that I was older, that I was starting this at 60 years old, and that I was totally unfit. You know, I could, at that point, I could maybe jog 3 miles, but that was about it. And Brant wrote back and agreed to talk to me, and I thought for sure that he had misunderstood. So I sent him another email, and I said, just to be clear, I'm old, I'm obese, and I'm unfit. And Brant wrote back and he said, I understand, and I was born to coach. And those words just really touched me. And I've never asked Brant until this point when I think I know what he meant by those words. But Brant, when you said I was born to coach, what did that mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think it's just we all have gifts, that we're born with, and that's coaching is just one that I've had my entire life in some shape or form, and so I think I really was born to coach, to be my job, to be what I put all my energy into on a daily basis. So it didn't matter what area of life you came from, or obese or whatever. I see you as a person, and it's my job, and what fulfills me every day. So so it just didn't matter that you were obese. We were going to figure out where you were and where you wanted to get to, and take you through that journey.
I think it's so funny how sometimes just a couple of words can make the biggest difference. And those how many words was that? I was born to coach, 5 words. I really wonder if you hadn't said those words in that email, if I would have followed through and come to meet with you. I mean, those words just touched me. So I wanted to ask you, Brant, another question. There's part of the book when I first um, met Brant, I was terrified. I mean, Brant was, in our triathlons around here, he was like the first, second, third person out of the water in all the triathlons, and to me, those people were like amazing, and I was really intimidated by this amazing triathlete, that was one of those that came out of the water first. So when on our day of our first meeting, here's what I wrote in the book. On the day of our meeting, I became intimidated once again. I didn't feel worthy of Coach Brant's attention. I assumed that once he saw my obese body in person, he'd make an excuse and flee. Even worse, I fear he'd laugh at my dreams. As I drove to meet Coach Brant, I repeated the words that helped when I was scared. Go away, fear. Go away, pride. Coach Brant met me at the door. I had seen photos of him online, but in person, his youthful appearance and his obvious fitness made me feel even more intimidated. After saying hello, he suggested that we go up to his office. I immediately zoned in on the word up and wondered if that meant upstairs. Yes, it did. So I walk up the stairs, and one flight of stairs, I am totally out of breath, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to be able to have a conversation with Coach Brant. And luckily, there's a picture of his children on his desk. So Brant, you have three kids.
Yeah.
Boy and a
Yeah.
girl.
I think we were only two at that point, but
Yeah, true.
yeah.
So yeah, so I asked him to tell me about his children, and while he was talking, I tried to catch my breath so that I would be able to have a conversation. But so, and again, Brant, I mean, I come up the stairs and I am totally out of breath. Are you thinking, I had better get rid of this woman because there's no way she's ever going to do a triathlon? What were your thoughts?
No, I mean, again, not at all. It didn't really matter where you were coming from. I think the exciting part was that you were there. Anytime I get a chance to work with anybody, I'm always excited to see, what is their end goal. And that's what always excites me is, how are we going to get this person from here to there? So the fact that you were thinking about obviously jumping over a huge hurdle because climbing steps was hard. I thought that was super exciting. So it was just that chance to really start talking with you and see where you were thinking, what you wanted to head towards. So no, I don't think, we talk, later in the book, you go on to do some pretty amazing things. And we didn't think about that at the very beginning, but, just the fact that getting to a triathlon and whatnot was, that was a big deal. So that was exciting. That's all, that was your goal and that's all I cared about. So.
I think the first time that we talked, I told you that I planned to brush my hair and eat a sandwich and transition. So we had a long way to go.
Yep.
So when you started working with me, it was different for me to learn like how to be coached. In my life as a student and as an employee, I had always learned that if I did a little more than what was than what was asked of me, that was a good thing. And so when you started giving me workouts to do, if you said to, run 1 mile, I would run 1.25 miles. And that did not make you happy. So, yeah. So, but can you talk a little bit about being coachable and what that means? Because I think especially for a new athlete, that's a real different concept than it is when you're an employee or a student.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the big thing is going to be individualized for sure. What it means to each of those athletes. Some athletes, like you have the problem of wanting to do way too much, whether that's because you think that could be because you don't believe in the plan or maybe you didn't understand it or you're just trying to please the coach and do more. So that just, being coachable really for there is just, on my part is being able to teach and explain why we're doing what we're doing. And then for the athlete, just being willing to, it might be dropping their pride or, just being willing to be open to listen and learn. And then, try to execute the best they can. So it'll definitely be different for each person. Some, they that they don't want to do it, or they might just think I'm going to do it to prove them wrong or whatever. So it could be pride. It could be multiple different things, but just being open to learning and, taking the advice of somebody else. So, and I think it goes both ways. And the coach, we got to learn too. I mean, I learned from you, and vice versa. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, so being coachable, I mean, I think for me in working with you, sometimes I did more than you asked because I thought that was a good thing. I think other times, it came from an insecurity. I was afraid that I, wouldn't be able to do this in a race. So I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it in a workout. But I learned from you that one of the bad things, or the main bad thing about that, is that when you write somebody's training plan, every day is based on the day before. And so if I overdid it on Tuesday, I might not be ready for Wednesday's workout. So, and that was something too that, that I had to learn, that all of the workouts that you plan are very, very dependent on the workouts in front of and after them. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not even, you could think day to day, but, coaches are trying to look at, weeks on end together to build for something. We talk about A races and important things down the road, but yeah, the order of workouts, some athletes might be like, oh, I missed this workout, I'll just throw it at the end of the week. Well, the way you build workouts on top of each other make a big deal, and what order in the week and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's super important that we're executing them, so that we can get to the end game. So, yep.
So the bottom line is, mind your coach.
Yep. Yeah, I think we use data. You love data. It's something we've definitely grown as we've gone on. But that's using that data, and if you give good data and hit the workouts the right way, then you're gonna be able to maximize it down the road to where you can do, maybe you are doing more. But if it's on and off, or too much and then too little, it makes it a lot harder to plan ahead and stay on top of things.
Yeah. So if there were, let's say there's somebody that's listening that is not physically active at all. They don't even go out for walks. They're just not physically active. What would be your advice to somebody who, I mean, especially right now with all the COVID-19, and we know that people that are physically active have better immune systems. And we also know that people that obese people have a greater chance of getting a more severe case of COVID-19. So if there are people out there that want to start a fitness journey right now and they've never exercised before, what would your advice to them be?
Yeah, I mean, there's several things you could do, I guess, but depending on what you have access to. Number one, we can all walk for the most part. So if you're an able-bodied person, and we don't necessarily have to do that outside. It's nice if you can get out and get some sunshine. But I think number one is trying to establish a new routine, and figure out the time of day that works best for you. If you're a morning person, try to work out in the morning. If you're definitely a night owl, then maybe take it at the end. But so find a time of day each day that works for you. Find some accountability partner, even if it's your best friend, and you're going to text them each day, hey, I'm getting ready to do my workout, and vice versa. Find out, text each other, you're going to do it, parent, a friend, spouse, if there's someone in the house, and then just try to figure out, break it down maybe a week at a time or whatever, and set little mini goals. And even if it's, I'm going to go outside and, you're started walking to the mailbox. Well, start somewhere. Say, I'm going to walk to the mailbox at 8:00, walk back. That's day one. And then just slowly, and don't get down if you miss a day. Just try to continue that routine the next day. And, there's a million resources online. You can find a coach, or you can, download little plans, or, little videos at home. Just, mix it up and find what you enjoy doing. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't really think about this, but as you said, I started out with walking, and the first walk was maybe 50 yards away to the neighbor's driveway, and then I turned around and came back, and then the next day I went to the second neighbor's driveway. So it started out, and it can start out very, very slowly. But one thing I didn't realize that I had until you just said this is that I had an accountability system in that every time I finished, I would text my sons and say, you know, I walked to the 4th driveway, I walked to the 5th driveway. And that was just kind of, and then they would, you know, say, woohoo. And so that was kind of my accountability system. And so, Brant, there are coaches there that if someone really has never done anything, they could connect with a coach, and that even, I mean, that's coaches even that, you know, coach Ironman, that they'd be, you know, they
I
could.
mean, everyone starts somewhere. And I think honestly, people would be surprised. I've coached a lot of athletes and Ironman athletes who came to me on day one, had never swam, barely had, maybe had a bike, hadn't really ran. And within a year or so, it's 140 miles of racing by the end of it. So you can certainly start from zero to hero, but
Yeah.
it's all about, you know, figuring out what your goal is at, you know, your end goal, and then starting from where you are, and don't just, you know, don't keep looking at that end goal. Start from day one and slowly build up. Yep.
Celebrate those little things along the way.
Yeah.
So let's kind of switch gears here and talk about the coach athlete relationship. I think that's something that you and I have done really, really well. Most coach athlete relationships will break up within 2 or 3 years, and I think a lot of times there's a communication issue, or the athlete is thinking that the grass will be greener somewhere else. But you and I have been working together for 7 years, which is, you know, I think that's remarkable. So and I noticed that, so um, in the book, a little plug, in the book, oops, I dropped it. In the book, I talk about my relationship with Coach Brant, and it's all like intertwined in the story. But I was kind of tickled that on Amazon, when they wrote the description of the book, they said it's a story about a unique relationship between Reynolds and the young coach who earned her trust and helped her develop fitness and confidence. So let's talk about building confidence. As you know, when I first started working with you, I could not refer to myself as an athlete. That seemed preposterous. I would call myself an athlete wannabe or a pseudo athlete. And you really worked at building my confidence. And I guess just in general, how important is confidence when you're doing triathlons or starting to maybe run your, you know, your first 5K or walk your first 5K? How important is confidence? What role does that play?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of the biggest things, honestly. Even if you're unfit coming into a race, but you believe in yourself, you can do a lot more than you think you can. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably the number one thing that every athlete of all time has ever to deal with, you know, to get to that next level, or, you know, whatever that next level is for them. And I think it's one that we all like shy away from or think we're the worst at it, when in reality, every Olympic athlete who's ever won a gold medal has doubted themselves, you know, and probably right up until the race too. So it's something that every, you know, good athlete and in between can continue to work on and need to work on, and has to figure out what works for them. So some, you know, are born with more confidence than others. And for you, I think, you know, how we've kind of built it over time is one of the biggest things is just doing, you know, is one of the, you know, just going out and doing some things that, you know, I didn't think I can do this distance, so it's going to do it. And then part of it is just, you know, for us, we built trust over the years. You know, and sometimes you want to just go do it, but I break it down and we do it in different intervals, and, you know, we build your fitness up so that when the big races come, we can be faster than ever before. So that's part of confidence is, you know, if you have a coach, is you're going to build confidence. The more you believe in them, the more the relationship grows. Yeah, I think the biggest way to build confidence is in consistency. Honestly, is if you train every day, you really do get fitter. If you get fitter, you get more confident. But you just believe in yourself, and that's really all confidence is believing in yourself to be able to do something. So.
Yeah. I remember one time I wrote about this in the book, but I remember there was one time where we did a sit-down meeting where I was just shocked because you took the conversation in a direction that I never thought you would. And you said to me, Sue, you are good. You are really good, and I want you to develop swag. And, that at first I thought, does he want me to act like I'm conceited? But you told me that swag isn't being conceited, it's just having confidence that you can accomplish something. And I remember that was really a changing point, a turning point for me, because just to have somebody else and have your coach believe in you, and to share that belief with you. And you told me you thought I could go far, and that was something I never thought about myself. And so I think sometimes when coaches share those things too, their beliefs in their athletes, then once you told me that, then I wanted to meet that expectation that you had. So that was pretty cool. So we have been working together for 7 years, and in any relationship, there's different stages that relationships go through, and I think the coach-athlete relationship is no different. Where you start out where everybody's enamored with each other, and then people are polite, and then when you kind of get out of that stage, it was like, who is this guy? What have I gotten myself into? And then you're not so polite, and you start to bump heads a little bit, and we certainly went through a little bit of that. But then you come out the other end of that, and there's just kind of a beautiful relationship that works really well. So what do you attribute the fact that we were able to get through those rocky times when we were past the be polite stage and get to where we are now?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting ride for sure. I mean, it's, it's just one, I've had athletes that have gone for several years, but not consistently for 7 years. It's been on and off. They had, a goal, then they stopped for a while and had another goal or something. But yeah, and I think,
Well, let me interrupt you for a minute. I think you've had a number of athletes that have been with you for a long, long time, and that's really unusual. And I think that's to your credit, which is why I wanted to ask you this question. So what do you attribute that to?
yeah, I mean, I think number one is just being honest and true. We talking about the butting heads part. I mean, really that came down to when, we started developing, big goals and we wanted to go far. And so then the polite part was more of, the pampering had to kind of go away because it's time to break down what really needs to be done for you to really execute and meet those goals. So it wasn't being mean, but it's like, it's time to, put the pedal to the metal. So, but that's, again, it's just me being honest, not sugarcoating things, and, figuring out what still worked to build confidence and build that trust for you without destroying it. And we've stepped on toes and had to, work back from that. But I think that's the biggest thing, is just being open to being wrong, and, because no coach is perfect. I'm certainly not, and I don't have all the answers, but it's just being willing to figure out what works with that athlete, and and generally caring about the athlete. I think that's number one. Is, if I wanted to go make money, I wouldn't be a triathlon coach. So I'm in the business of people, not in the business of making money and making my name great or whatever. So I don't, it's really about the person, and developing them, not just as an athlete either. Just developing them as a person. And this story is pretty awesome, because helping you become who you are is affecting hundreds and thousands of other people, and down the road. So that's, there's no, greater gift or fulfillment than doing that as a coach. So, yeah, I think just in a nutshell, it's just truly caring about the person, being honest, and then just keep, doing that over and over, because you can do it once or twice is easy, but like you said, it goes back and forth over and over and over the years, and you have to continually come back to that. Why are you doing this? Just continue to care about people. So.
Yeah, I think you hit on a couple of things there, because I remember when we first started to have really big goals, and you did start pushing me and critiquing me a lot. And I can remember thinking, oh my gosh, it's just one critique after another, and am I doing anything right? And but I think as an athlete, that's something that if you want to improve, you have to welcome, that you have to realize that when your coach is telling you, this is wrong and that is wrong and improve this, that's coming from a good place. It's coming from a place where where your coach is trying to help, and you have this common dream. Your coach has the dream of you succeeding as much as you have that dream of you succeeding, and the coach has to be able to be honest with you and say, that hand's in the wrong position, or hold your head this way, or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's really important. I think as an athlete, you have to be open to that and be, not take offense. And then, when we were going through that adjustment, the other thing that you did, Brant, that I think was amazing, not just for coaching, but just in life in general, is that Coach Brant said to me, and he said, okay, well, at this point in our relationship, I had committed to being coachable, and I was determined to do whatever Brant told me to do. And he said, here's my instructions. Anytime that the smallest thing bothers you, I want you to tell me immediately. He said, don't let it build up for 2 days or 3 days. Just come talk to me. And so that was my instruction. And I wanted to be coachable. So that's what I tried to do. And it's really just been a blessing that whenever there's something that maybe I've taken the wrong way, or maybe Coach Brand has made a mistake. I mean, like he said, coaches aren't perfect, and so I just bring it to the table, and he does the same thing. If I've done something that he doesn't think is right, he'll come talk to me, and we just assume that both of us are here for a good purpose, and we just talk it out. And sometimes I get tearful and we cry, and not we cry, I cry. But we just talk through it, and that's one of the things that I greatly value about Coach Brant as a coach. There's not very many people, I think, that bring that kind of honesty and integrity to the table. And in addition to, or maybe probably even more important to what he puts into my training plans, is that we have that trust. And it's just amazing. I do not think that I'd be here today, and have lost 200 pounds and be going to World Championships if we didn't have that kind of trust and good communications. I mean, I try to give Coach Brant feedback every day in my workouts, and I try to be very, very honest. If I am very, very honest, if I mess up on something, I tell him. If I'm emotional, I tell him, and I think that helps him be a better coach. So yeah. So anything else you want to talk about, just coach-athlete relationship, before I move to?
Yeah, I mean, and just as a triathlon coach, talking about, kind of going back for a second, just about critiquing and whatnot. I think triathlon coaches have it a lot harder than most coaches, just from the standpoint, we don't have hands-on every single day, like a basketball coach or, a swim coach that's there in the pool every single day. So sometimes we have to kind of pick out 5 things, and then we're going to work on one thing at a time, maybe going forward. But we have to take that, time we have and use it the best we can. So it is a little bit harder just because we can't work on one little thing every day or whatever. So sometimes it feels like overload, but then we have to kind of work back from that and, just do what we can. So, and then communication with, the world we live in, even though we both live in the same town and we do train together almost every week. We do a lot of stuff online and text and email. And so things can be lost in that. So that's, communication becomes even huge. So that's
Yeah.
when we into that policy. And most of the time it's just pick up the phone and hear someone's voice. It helps a lot more than, was he angry? Was he not? Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I think that's everyone. And this goes across the board for not just coach athlete. This is every relationship you want to be successful in your entire life is communication based. So just being honest and don't hold stuff inside, because in the end it usually just hurts you if you're the one holding it inside. So
Yeah.
just talk to people.
Absolutely. Yep. So now you can see why I really enjoy working with Coach Brant. I mean, just that attitude and the integrity and the trust and honesty. I mean, it's really, really there. So before we close, I wanted to just let you know that in the book, we talk about, my triathlon journey, and the relationship intertwines with Coach Brant all through it, and the trust that we built, and some of the things that, we've alluded to here about butting heads at time and working through that. And what we haven't talked about is the meltdowns that I tend to always have before races, and how Coach Brant is there to kind of get my head back level again. But that's in the book a lot, because there were a lot of things to be afraid of as in this journey. I mean, I progressed so quickly. I mean, I was my fourth season at the World Championship. I'm still a beginner, and I'm racing against, all Americans and world champions, and oh my gosh, that was scary. So, but I also wanted to just kind of give you a teaser in the book. Toward the end of the book, Coach Brant had a major catastrophe with his family, and you have to read the book to find out what it was. But it happened as we were preparing for my first World Championship, and I got to witness just his strength and learn where that strength came from. And I tell you that that part of our relationship really changed my life. It put me on a total different course outside of triathlon. And so yeah, so you have to read the book to find out about that. But it's a really I really appreciate Coach Brant sharing that part of his journey with me, and his agreeing to allow me to talk about that in the book, because it was huge in my life. So anything else, Brant, that you want to talk about before we kind of bring it to a close?
No, I mean, thanks for doing this. We've talked about a lot, purpose of us writing the book, me being involved and whatnot. At the end of the day, it's really about people. So if people out there, if you're going to read it, or if you have read it when it comes out, share it with other people that, need a story of hope, or, it doesn't have to be just triathlon either. I mean, there's a lot of good points. Sue puts a ton of good tips in there to how to get started, just really on, a journey of changing your life more than anything. So, it's a good book for just kind of a how-to of getting better in life. So, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, share it with everybody. So.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, and if people want to follow up with you, Brant, and I should say, we don't always dress the same, but we both know, see, here's my Dream Big Triathlon Coaching shirt. So we both just happen to wear these today. But your signed Dream Big Coaching is behind you, Brant. How do people get a hold of you if they have a question, or if they're interested in coaching?
Yeah, I mean, dreambigtriathloncoaching.com. If you want to look up online, there's a website. I do have a Facebook page, or email is dreambigcoaching@hotmail.com. So, or they can send you a message and you can forward it to me or whatever. So
that sounds good. Also on my website, SueReynolds.net, on my About page, there's a link to Brant's website, so you could get it there too. On my website, I've also put up some tips for people that are thinking about starting a fitness journey, or thinking about triathlon. And then there's another really good website that I recommend to beginners called My Time to Try. So it's my time to, the word to, I think it's T-O. Is that right, Brant? My Time to Try. Try is T-R-I. That doesn't work, put the number 2 in there. So mytimetotry.com, but there's a lot of really good resources there for people that are interested in beginning triathlon. So yeah, so any final words of wisdom?
when the book comes out 28th, is that right?
April 28th, yeah.
Yeah. Mark your calendars.
So now you've met Coach Brant, the main character, one of the main characters in the book. Very good. Now I have to figure out how to stop this recording. Stop recording. I think it's right. Okay.